Okay, Year 10, we're going to have another look at exercise 702, question 5. I've got to stress that in this exercise we're looking at this form. And from this form we can see that we've got 4 elements. A squared term, then a normal x term, then a number, then equals 0. All of them are important in what we're about to do. Squared term, then a normal x term, number equals 0. So let's have a look at this first one here. We have done this form before, but we haven't done the equals 0 bit. But firstly, with this, what you do first is you have a look at the plus 6 part first. That's what we do first. And we have to find two numbers. When you multiply them, get you to plus 6. And there's not many. There is 1 and 6, or 2 and 3. Those pairs, when you multiply them, give you 6. But then the second condition here, when you add these, they've got to equal 5. And there's only one set that does that, and that's the 2 and the 3. So these are the numbers we're after. So what you do when you've found that, first numbers you multiply to get 6. When you add those numbers you get 5. And we'll come up with 2 and 3. So then you do double bracket, x plus 2, x plus 3 equals 0. Doesn't matter what order you put them in. You can do the plus 3 first, but as long as you've got plus 2 and a plus 3, that's all good. That's the first bit. And then we're going to take care of what this equals 0 means. And that means that this times this equals 0. That's got to equal 0, or that's got to equal 0. So what do we need to do to make x so that this equals 0? And the only answer is minus 2. Because when you put minus 2 here, you get minus 2 plus 2, that's 0. Good, because that's what you want. 0 times that, without whatever that is still going to equal 0. So that's that taken care of. This one, what can we make x to make all of this equal 0? And the only answer is minus 3. When you do that, minus 3 plus 3 is 0. That's what we want. That times 0 is going to be equal to 0. And there's your answer. Okay. Now we have a few more examples that look a bit different, but that's okay. Still the same process. So for this first one, I've just written it again down here. X squared minus x minus 2. So we'll look here first. What two numbers, when you multiply them, get you minus 2? And so there can only be, well, one of them's got to be negative. It can either be minus 1 and 2, or it could be 1 and minus 2. When you multiply those, both of them get to minus 2. But then, when we add them, it's got to equal minus 1. So I'll go with this first set, minus 1 and 2. When you add them, oops, put that up here. Add minus 1 and 2, you get plus 1. Not minus 1, so it's got to be here. But let's just check. 1 minus 2 equals minus 1. That's what we want. So our numbers are these. So we do this. X plus 1, x minus 2 equals 0. Now again, last step, this has got to equal 0, or this is equal 0. So what do we need to make x equal, to make all of that equals 0? And the only answer would be, that's got to be minus 1. When you put minus 1 here, minus 1 plus 1 is 0. Good. What about here? What if we put 2 for x? 2 for x will mean that 2 minus 2 is 0. There's your answer. Okay. Part B. Just rewrite the question down here so I've got space. U this time. Plus 3u minus 28 equals 0. Okay, again, we need to find two numbers that when you multiply them equal minus 28. One of them's got to be plus, one of them's got to be minus. But when you add them, it's got to be plus 3. So let's do a couple of possibilities that look like they could be right. It's got to be minus 7 and 4. That will get you minus 28 when you multiply them. Or if we reverse the sign, 7 and minus 4. That also equals 28. You could also do 14 and 2, 28 and 1, but that when you add them doesn't look like it gets close to 3. So let's have a look. Add these two, so we need to know what the plus when you add them. Minus 7 plus 4 is minus 3. Close. 7 minus 4 equals 3. That's what we want. Plus 3, good. So then we can write this out as u plus 7 bracket u minus 4 equals 0. And again we've got to work out, well, how we make this one equal 0. U's got to equal the opposite of that, minus 7. Or the opposite of minus 4 is plus 4. There's our answer. Part D. Let's go part D. This one we're going to rearrange because it's not in that form that we want, where something equals 0. So I'll just put it here first. 5p plus 24. So we're going to have to move everything back over. So I'm going to take the 5p over here. And then you might take the 24 over here, minus 24 equals 0. So we've got p squared minus 5p minus 24 equals 0. That's what we want. And now we just to make it quick, I'll find two numbers that equal minus 24. One's got to be plus, one's got to be minus, and we're going to add them to equal minus 5. So I'm thinking that we've got 8 and 3, it looks like. Yep, minus 8 plus 3. P minus 8, P plus 3 equals 0. Then we do the opposites to get the equal 0 part right. P's got to equal 8 or minus 3. Okay, very good. Now, the last one is a special case. Part C. Oh, that's why I did it last. A squared minus 2a equals 0. So we don't have, that should be an a. A squared. We don't have the third element. We've got a squared, a normal. We haven't that, we've got equal 0. So this one's a bit different. So we have to factorize it this way by taking out the a in the bracket. A times a is a squared, and a times minus 2 is minus 2a. Okay, so that's got to equal 0 or that. So a equals 0 or opposite of that, plus 2. There we go. That's all those examples. Now the exercise. Unfortunately, in all of this exercise, I broke them up into 4 different categories. And I'm going to do one from each category. Some of these I've just done in the previous example, where you see how I've done them here. A lot of them are covered here, but not all. So I'm just going to do the last one of each example, just to show you. So on A, B, C and E, they're all done the same way. So let's do E. X squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Alright, two numbers multiply, get minus 10. One's got to be plus, one's got to be minus to get minus 3. I think it's going to be, to make it quick, it's got to be plus 5 and minus, no, the other way around. It'd be minus 5. Minus 5 times plus 2. There's the two numbers. And as we did before with these ones, to get it equal 0, you do the opposite. So x, to make this right, x has got to equal 5 to make that 0, or minus 2 to get that equal 0. A, B, C and E are all done the same way, that way. Let's do n. So this is a different type. Which n? That one? Okay. N x squared equals x plus 42. Now this just means rearranging. So I'm going to move the x over and the 42 over. X squared minus x and move the 42 over equals 0. Okay. Two numbers multiply get you to minus 42. And then when you add them, it equals minus 1. Well, there's 42 and 1, 21 and 2, 14 and 3, 6 and 7. I think that'll be it. Is a minus 6 plus 7 or minus 7 plus 6? That's minus 7 plus 6. Once you've got the rearranging part, plus 6 equals 0, and then do the opposite. X has got to equal, opposite of minus 7 is 7, and minus 6. Okay, that's that one. G. I'm running out of space. I've put G up here. K squared minus 7k equals 0. That's like that one. Take the k out. K times k is k squared minus 7 times k. K got to equal 0. And it's also got to equal plus 7. Okay, so D, F and G all done the same way. Lastly, H, I, J and L. I think we'll leave out question A because that's not going to happen. H, I, J and L. Okay, I'll do L. Where's L? Down here. N squared minus 10n. There's a bit of rearranging, that's all. What have I done? Let's try that again. N squared equals minus 10 n. I have to move that over here. Plus 10n. That's better. And then we factorise by doing n bracket n plus 10. N has got to equal 0 or minus 10. Thank you very much. Oops.